This is Olivia Habetz, and I will be backtesting an investment strategy for Finance 551. What I want to know is if there is a relationship between the company's dividend yield and their return on equity. My theory is that the higher the dividend yield, the higher the return on equity will be. Dividend yield is the return on investment for a stock, so I'm thinking that the higher the return on investment for a stock is, the higher the return on the equity will be. So if I had a client come to me and ask me which stock that they should invest in, based on my theory, I'm going to tell them to pick the stock that has the highest dividend yield because I think that it will offer the highest return. But before I can use that theory to advise anyone, I'll need to see if it holds true. To do that, I will backtest the investment strategy using a regression test to see if there is in fact a relationship between the dividend yield and the return on equity. So what I'm saying is that as the dividend yield increases, the return on equity will increase. So to test the theory, I used the 100 companies from the NASDAQ index, and then with Yahoo Finance, I found each company's dividend yield and return on equity for the fiscal year. I plugged these numbers into an Excel spreadsheet. Column A has my symbols for each company, column D has my dividend yields, and column G has the return on equity. So I have the 100 companies here. I'm going to argue that there is a positive relationship between the dividend yield and the return on equity. So I'm thinking that the test will show that the higher the dividend yield is, the higher the return on equity. So let's test it. Go to data, data analysis, run the regression test. Okay. My X variable is going to be my dividend yield. That's my independent variable from row 1 to 101. My Y variable is the dependent variable, that's the return on equity. I use my labels here, hit OK, load it up. The first thing I want to look at is the R-square value. That is going to tell me how well I fit the line of regression, if I do at all. Now I'm not expecting the dividend yields to explain my returns, I just want to see if there's a relationship. So the higher the R-squared value, the better you fit the line, with other things taken into consideration. As you can see, the value is 0.0003567, which suggests that we don't fit the regression line. If I go down to my coefficients here, I can see that there's a positive relationship under the coefficients with dividend yield and return on equity. Now let's see if it's statistically significant by looking at the t-stat and the p-value. The rule of thumb for the t-stat is that it should be above 1.65 or below negative 1.65. My value here is at 0.185, which does not fit and indicates the coefficient is not significant. If I look at the p-value of 0.853, that is very high, relatively high. It further indicates that there is no significance. So my investment strategy proved to be unsuccessful, and I should definitely never advise anyone to look at only a company's dividend yield and make their decision based on that. Thank you.